Alcohol has been a dichotomy of vice and pleasure for centuries, an impairing culinary pairing which elevates one's sensory experience while also being a social lubricant. The duality of alcohol has inevitably led to a complex relationship with humankind. This was especially true in the classical antiquity of Greece and Rome, where drinking was a free-flowing social activity. My research delves into the captivating worlds of the Greek Symposium and the Roman Convivium, in which wine and revelry played an integral role in shaping social interactions, artistic expression, and philosophical discourse. I understand I'm presenting in the AI section of the symposium, so I hope you guys don't mind a little bit of a change up here. So to provide some background on myself, my mentor, and my topic, my name is Jacob Kwon. I'm originally from Hong Kong, where I'm currently Zooming from, but I attend a boarding school at St. Paul's School in New Hampshire, and my academic interests primarily lie in Latin and Greek, classics, and archaeology. And a little bit about my mentor, Tony Shannon, who I'd like to thank. Without him, none of this would be possible. He got his bachelor's in classical studies and has both a master's and PhD in classical archaeology. His research primarily focuses on the reproduction of social memory through performative acts of citizenship. So that relates to monumental construction and commemorative acts throughout history. So that's where his research primarily lies. Now into some content. So what is a Greek symposium? Greek symposia are social gatherings of aristocratic men centered around social wine consumption. These social gatherings included things like convivial discussions surrounding intellectual or philosophical topics. As you can see in the picture here, men would recline on couches which were positioned in a circular arrangement so that they could see each other and enjoy conversation and the broader festivities of the evening at leisure. There was plenty of entertainment, as symposia would often have musicians performing throughout the evening. The guests would also play drinking games like balancing competitions. So symposia were extremely functional dinner parties. They were an opportunity for convivial discussions and personal enjoyment, but were also used to serve a greater social purpose at times. Now you might be wondering why what were essentially dinner parties were so important. And the reason is that symposia were of great cultural importance for the Greeks. They were intimate celebrations of Dionysus, the Greek god for wine and the patron god of these symposia. Symposia are important to us because they provide a glimpse into the role that wine and revelry have in shaping the broader social interactions in society, the impacts of which are reflected in symposium-related iconography on things like drinking vessels and pottery. Symposia were social gatherings and were extremely versatile in their usage. That is to say that they happen for a variety of reasons, with many things happening in each symposia. Often symposia were hosted in celebration of someone or something, like in Xenophon's Symposium, which is one of the most famous literary works about symposia. Callias, the host of the symposium, hosts a symposium for Autokylos, who's an athlete, in celebration of his athletic achievement. They were also social statements, with affluent men throwing elaborate symposia to show off their wealth. Similarly, the Roman Convivium, which is the Roman equivalent to the Greek Symposium, exemplified the grandeur of Roman banquets and feasts. Lavishly decorated dining rooms or triclinia adorned with opulent silverware and stunning artworks set the stage for these gatherings. In the triclinium, intricate floor reliefs, mosaics, and sculptures surrounded the dining area, a mise-en-scène conveying luxury and abundance. Roman convivia were organized into 3 courses, each boasting an array of exotic and indulgent foods, reflecting the host's affluence. In notable divergence from the Greek tradition, Romans consumed wine throughout the entire meal, pairing it with the culinary experience. With that being said, let's talk about my research project itself, my goals and my research process, and my experience throughout my time with the Polygence program. So my goal was to create a virtual exhibition containing artifacts relating to Greek Symposium and Roman Convivium culture. And because I didn't have any previous curation experience, I was researching both the content of my exhibition and how to curate an exhibition at the same time. Luckily, I was in Boston at the time, and so I was able to actually go to the museums in the area, like the Boston Museum of Fine Arts and Harvard Peabody Museum, to see their classics-related exhibitions. In terms of my research process, I first had to understand symposia and convivia to get a fundamental understanding of what they were. While I was researching, I was looking for aspects of the symposium or convivium that were of particular cultural importance, as those were the things that were most likely to be conveyed in artifacts. Then I had to research the symposium-related objects themselves and understand not just the iconography, but the purpose of each object and how they would be used. This involved researching different drinking vessels that were used in symposia, understanding the different types of pottery techniques used, and looking at depictions of symposia or depictions on symposia-related artifacts. Last was the curation process, where I combined the previous two parts of my research to categorize each object within the exhibition. So I had four main categories for the artifacts in my exhibition, which are all centered around common themes in symposia-related work. Those being depictions of Dionysus, drunken fun, mythological depictions, and glimpses into symposia and convivia. Each artifact fit into one of these categories, and I would now like to talk about some of the artifacts I included just to show what I was looking for at each artifact. Unfortunately, I don't have the time to go over the entire exhibition, but I would like to just talk about some of the pieces I like the most. So in this Helix, which is a Greek wine cup from the Boston MFA, large eyes are painted on the front to serve as a mask of sorts. When the user would drink from these helixes, they would have to lift up these cups to their lips. It would look like they were looking at the rest of the guests with the eyes from the cup substituting their own. This visual effect was particularly effective when people were drunk, making this mask a playful part of symposiums. These eyes were often accompanied by some stock mythological imagery, and as we see in this image here, we have a satyr, who is a mythical creature, crouching between the eyes in amazement. On this neck amphora, also from the Boston MFA, Dionysus is wreathed in ivy and celebrated by Maenads, who are members of his cult following. This depiction is appropriate for a neck amphora, as neck amphoras would store wine, and Dionysus, of course, is the god of wine and revelry, and also the patron deity of symposia. So Dionysus is also holding his distinctive kantharos, which is a cup that is meant to hold wine. This painting by Roberto Pompiani from the late 19th century is a modern depiction of a Roman convivium. Imaginary genre scenes of Roman life became popular in the late 1800s, and Pompiani took an angle of idealization, archaeological accuracy, and photographic realism to tell a story in this painting here. Interestingly, except for the portly man at the table center, all of the figures shown are marble school creatures, physically flawless with smooth skin, mirroring the quintessential Roman marble statues. However, we now know that Roman statues were not white marble and were all painted. So it's actually very interesting that he decided to depict his figures in this way, because that's based off of the time and the knowledge that they had. Bompiani did extensive research to make his artwork authentic, though he blended styles and periods on canvas. The frescoes on the marble floor of the painting below the table are Roman models, while the stone and bronze lamps and vessels are based on Roman, Greek, and Etruscan sources. So what are my final conclusions from my experience? All in all, the culture of Greek symposium and Roman convivia hold timeless importance in the history of social gatherings and intellectual discourse. Through all the wine and revelry, these gatherings were of great cultural importance, encapsulating the dynamic facets of antiquity. These traditions not only provided platforms for conviviality and camaraderie, but also inspired artists to capture the nuance and significance of these functions in their work. The influence of Greek symposium and Roman convivia can still be observed in contemporary social gatherings, demonstrating the enduring importance of communal interaction and humanizing the people from a once distant past. Thank you for listening to my presentation. I hope you enjoyed the pieces that I selected.